13th June 2026. A tanker leaves the southern harbor of the Dardanelles, flying the flag of Equatorial Guinea. It is heading for Novorossiysk. The name on the hull is Fina A. The hull length is 244 meters. The gross tonnage is 62,002 tons. The vessel is subject to sanctions imposed simultaneously by the European Union, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Ukraine. This has not prevented it from taking this route on more than one occasion. On June 16th, at around 1:30 in the afternoon, Kyiv time, according to the vessel tracking service Vessel Finder, the Fina A was in the southeastern part of the Black Sea, between the Russian and Turkish coasts. Somewhere nearby lay several meters of hull, crewless and without a silhouette that would be worth picking up on radar. On the 17th of June, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine confirmed that the tanker had been hit. By the end of this video, you will understand three things. Firstly, why Russia's shadow fleet is physically incapable of defending itself against unmanned boats. Secondly, why the waters off Turkey, in particular, have become the battleground for this hunt. And thirdly, how a strike costing several $100,000 translates into a hit on the price of your petrol a few weeks later. First of all, what is a target? The shadow fleet does not consist of military vessels. These are civilian tankers, mostly built in the 1990s and 2000s, purchased through a chain of front companies, and flying the flags of the Gambia, Palau, Cameroon, and Sierra Leone, countries that often do not even border the sea on which the vessel is sailing. The average tanker in this fleet is between 200 and 300 meters long. That is 2.5 times the length of a football pitch. Their cargo capacity ranges from 37 to over 100,000 tons of oil. According to analysts, such a fleet accounts for up to 30% of all Russian oil exports, circumventing Western sanctions. These are huge, slow, poorly maintained vessels sailing unescorted by warships on the high seas. Now, the Ukrainian unmanned boat, the Sea Baby. Its hull is about 6 meters long. That's smaller than a lorry parking space. Its warhead carries between 450 and 850 kilograms of explosives, depending on the variant. The range is up to 1,500 kilometers in the latest versions. It is controlled via mesh radio networks, or a satellite link, with the operator located hundreds of kilometers from the strike point. Why specifically off the coast of Turkey? Why not deep in the Black Sea, or directly off Novorossiysk? The answer lies in the geography of the route and the physics of detection at sea. To reach oil buyers from Novorossiysk, a tanker must pass through the narrow corridor of the Bosphorus Strait. This is a natural bottleneck for shipping. Dozens of vessels travel in a dense stream along the same coastline, following predictable routes at predictable speeds. Imagine hunting not individual animals in the forest, but a herd that follows the same narrow path to a watering hole every day. There is no need to search for a target. You simply need to wait by the path. An unmanned vessel on the water has a minimal radar signature, a low hull, a small signal reflection area, and a speed comparable to the swell of the sea. Tanker radars and surveillance systems were designed to detect other large vessels in storms, not 6-meter-long objects traveling along the surface of the waves. An analyst at the Bosphorus Observer Institute of Maritime Studies, in a review of Black Sea shipping security for 2025, noted, "Tankers in the shadow fleet deliberately sacrifice defense and insurance systems to save money. This makes them structurally defenseless against any form of direct attack at sea, not just drones." Turkey, meanwhile, formally remains a neutral party and cannot provide a military escort for vessels that it itself does not recognize as part of legitimate shipping under their own sanctioned flags. This is not a theory. It has already happened several times, and it has been documented with the names of the vessels. In late November 2025, maritime drones attacked the tankers Virat and Kairos, both flying the Gambian flag, both heading towards Novorossiysk. According to the crew, the strike on the Virat took place 35 nautical miles off the Turkish coast. Sources within the SBU confirmed that the operation was a joint one involving the security service of Ukraine and the Ukrainian Navy. A few weeks later, there was another incident. 3 tankers, the James II, the Altura, and the Valora, were attacked by drones off the northern coast of Turkey on the same day. In April, the tanker Marquise, which was drifting with its transponder switched off 200 kilometers from Tuapse, was struck by 2 drones in the stern, in the area of the propeller and rudder assembly and the engine room. In early May, the tanker West Horizon was struck, also in the propeller and rudder assembly. This is not a single incident. It is a consistent, recurring operational pattern. This series of incidents is no coincidence. Now, let's look at the maths that explains why this strategy makes sense. Even if the strike does not sink the tanker completely, but merely disables the propeller and rudder assembly, as in the cases of the Marquise and the West Horizon, the vessel is out of action for weeks or months whilst undergoing repairs. A single day's downtime for a tanker of this class costs the owner tens of thousands of dollars in lost charter revenue alone, not to mention the cost of repairing the damaged hull outside the official insurance channels, which often refuse to deal with a fleet subject to sanctions. A single drone costing less than $1 million is capable of paralyzing an asset that carries tens of millions of dollars worth of oil on a single voyage. And if we calculate the cumulative effect of a series of 6 or 7 confirmed attacks over several months, the figure runs into hundreds of millions of dollars in indirect damage, repairs, downtime, rising insurance costs, and shipowners' increased caution. The aim of this operation is not to physically destroy the entire shadow fleet. The aim is to make its operation more expensive than the profits gained from circumventing sanctions. You might be thinking, tankers in the Black Sea are a long way off. What's it got to do with me? The shadow fleet transports up to 30% of all Russian oil exports. This is oil that enters the global market alongside legal shipments and shapes the overall balance of supply and demand, on which the price per barrel for everyone depends. When attacks make shadow fleet voyages more expensive and riskier, shipowners raise freight rates. Tankers are beginning to avoid direct routes, sailing closer to the Turkish coast in the hope of being less vulnerable and using more fuel on detours. Every such change in logistics is reflected in the price, not instantly or dramatically as with a one-off shock event, but steadily through rising insurance premiums and freight costs into the final price at the pump and the cost price of everything produced using petroleum products. Now, let's go back to where we started, and let's look at the full picture of that very night. The strike on Fina A was not a separate, isolated operation. On the night of June 16th to 17th, the Ukrainian Defense Forces struck the road bridge across the North Crimean Canal near the village of Stavki and the road bridge in the Voinka area, both in the Kherson region, both used to move forces between the occupied territories in the south. At the same time, strikes were carried out against a command and observation post near Velika Novoselka and several drone control centers in various regions. These are not 3 separate operations. It is the same principle applied simultaneously to the sea, to roads, and to command structures, to deprive the enemy of logistics wherever it exists. This model, a low-cost precision strike rather than a single large-scale frontal offensive, is being closely studied far beyond the Black Sea and the Kherson region.